Professor 3D Dave here. In this video, we're going to make that 3D ghost using a single curve and a couple of cool sub-D commands. Check it out. Okay, before we get started in Rhino, just want to say thank you to Rhino student Emily for this great idea. We're going to build this final version of the ghost. And if we hit the tab key, you can see some of the box structure. To get there, we need to start with a curve. So let's go ahead and turn that off. So this may be unfamiliar to many people working with sub-Ds because a lot of beginners start off with some of the primitive shape. That would be either a box or an ellipsoid or a sphere, something like that. But there are several commands you can create sub-D forms with curves, and the revolve is one of them. However, there is an extra step here. So I'm going to build a control point curve here. So I did this from the front viewport. Let's switch over to that. So all we have here is a straight line down the axis. And then this is a control point curve. Let's hit F10. Just make sure the last 2 points, the control points, hit that axis perpendicular. So they hit that. Now, if they're a little bit off, here's a great little trick. Let me just move mine over. And I'm going to use the gizmo or the gumball to get them in alignment. So notice that I want them to be aligned on this green y-axis. So just use that scale to snap them to that center. You can move it up or down together anywhere you want. That's pretty cool. So you can do a lot of alignments with the gumball and the scale. All right, that's how I drew it. Now, there's a preparation step here. Sub-Ds doesn't like regular curves. No problem. It's only a single command here. So we're going to click the curve I just created. And on the sub-D menu, we're going to go to this icon here at the end, which has a little cute little heart. We're going to make that sub-D friendly. Now, there's going to be a slight change of any curve that has openings. Now, if it's closed, usually I've never seen a difference. I'm going to turn the control points on with F10, or points on, just so we can see what happens. I'm going to select this curve, and then we're going to run this command now, make curves sub-D friendly. So it's a slight little jump. I can't tell you exactly what's happening, so let's just call it math magic. All right, now we're ready to do the revolve, but it's not a normal revolve. We're going to create a sub-D object, so we have to go into the Sub-D Revolve. It's a whole separate command. I'm going to pick this curve one more time, and over on the Sub-D toolbar, you'll see some of the commands we can create. Here is the revolve. Now, as in most revolves, you have to pick the axis. So we've got the end snaps on there. So we're going to snap to 1 and then 2. Before you go any further, we've got to think about the final shape. This ghost had 8 arms. So those are the segments as you revolve around. Let's change that right now. The other segments or faces will be at every single one of those control points. So the control point will be an edge, and then in between each control point will be a face. So you're already telling it one of the directions, then this segment count gives you the other direction, or the radial direction. All right, let's just say full circle. And that looks like a very straightforward revolve, but this is a sub-D object. Look at that. But I'd like to introduce to you a really cool symmetry command. So you might have done this side-by-side command up here. This is the reflect command. There's another one related, so that's why it's right next door. This is the radiate. However, the radiate works if you already have a small section, but if you have the whole thing done, you can have Rhino find the sub-D radiate pattern. So we're going to right-click on that. And the way you do this is you come down and pick a face. And then the next face that you want to have be radiated or reflected, you pick it like so. Now, it's not really obvious, but now you can see that the shading difference, this is the part we're going to work on. And everything else will follow along. Now I can start doing some of my edits, like an extrude or a move or a rotate. That's coming. However, this is coming out at a weird angle. So what I like to do is we're going to rotate this 1/2 of an 1/8, so that's a 1/16. Luckily, I don't have to use any math, so I'm just going to pick this whole object. I'm going to use the basic rotate command here on the standard toolbar. So I'm going to snap to the center, and then using the midpoint snap, which looks like it's on, yes, There's the midpoint. Hold down Shift, and that'll get you straight to the side axis. So you can do that before or after we do the find radiate. All right, so we're just about ready. Let's start doing some pushing and pulling. This is where it gets really, really cool. So I'm going to do my selection of the face with Control Shift, pick that face, and use the round little dot on there to extrude out. Now we've got 8. Pretty cool. I need to do some edits as I go. That's going to be a lot easier. So I'm going to pick this top edge. So if you remember the design, it kind of tapered down pretty quickly. Also, if you want to have this little pinch, I'm going to call it, because it's the ghost is tail or sheet. Typically that's round, so you get round forms from square faces. We're just going to scale this in a little bit, get it a little more square. We can even just scale in the top if you want it to be perfectly square. Let's see how that looks. Hit the tab. We're almost done. Let's do one more just to kind of taper it off and finish this. Another very short extrude. We'll do the same idea. Just pick the top edge, Control Shift, pick, and we're just moving down. I'm going to use this really cool way to align this. I'd like this face to be vertical. I think that's a great way to terminate it. So we could rotate and guess or use that scale trick with the gumball. So slide it in. When it hits the origin of the gumball, it snaps to that point. There you go. Looks like this might need to be scaled in just a bit more to continue that operation. So when you're working in the box mode, which I recommend, it makes it easier to select things and do operations like the extrude and move. But also it's a powerful tool just to see about the continuity. So you can look at this face here and it goes down at a specific angle. I have no idea, but it's a similar angle on the next couple of faces. If not, you can just push and pull to make that more clean or improve the flow. Let's hit the tab, go to smooth mode, and I think we're just about done. That's the overall shape. As you know, SubDs, if you were to ask them, wants to be smooth everywhere. That's kind of their thing. So the bottom is kind of super rounded here. But we can do a quick fix to put a crease there. So let's do that. I'm going to go back to box mode, and I'm going to double click on this edge, and these two here. So make sure you go all the way around. That's why I'm in perspective. We're going to go back to the SubD toolbar right there, and right here, which is I think the 4th icon, hard crease. That's a right click. Now in box mode, you'll notice it gets a little bit darker, but otherwise it looks the same because everything has got a sharp edge. But here's the difference. When we go to smooth mode, we have a nice flat or sharp edge on the bottom. And you could continue working on that. Now, final bonus tip. That was one of the bonuses. One more bonus. If you wanted to have a little more detail in here, many beginners will say, oh, I'll put a crease there. That doesn't always work good in the middle of the model. Wouldn't it be great if we just had an extra row of faces? It's easy to do. So I'm going to pick this edge. We're going to go up, and this is I think the 5th. We're going to insert a loop. So again, I'm going to hit the tab here, just so we go into box mode. It's a little easier to control, and just come up a slight distance. Going to hit tab again. Looks like our symmetry is a little confused because it's jumping around. No problem. Let's just turn that off. So this would be my final step anyway, to turn off the symmetry if I want to start adding in some faces or some details here that are no longer symmetrical. So this is very common. I turn on symmetry just for a while. Sometimes it goes on and off several times. So we're going to pick the overall object, just a left click this time. And over here is the general symmetry for both radial and side to side. Just right click to remove all the symmetry. So if you wanted to make this a little more of a smooth flow here, we can pick the loop. You can also pick 2 loops. So I'm just double clicking on those edges and move them both up together. So you still have a lot of options here to add detail where needed and move things around. So a final note, we're done, is what if you wanted more space between the arms? So if we're looking over here on these little pinches of the ghost, it kind of looks like an octopus. That's why I say arms. So there's just a 0 thickness in between. It's just a sharp relatively sharp intersection there. So I did a revolve with 16 segments. It's over here on the side. Let's check this out. So what's happened is when I did the revolve, I did 16, and then I did the find radiate. I picked one face, and then I went 2 over to pick the next one. And the result is you got space between the arms. So it's just an option for you depending on your design. You can always do double or triple, and then just pick every second or third face if needed. I was just about to end this video, and I forgot one more cool tip. So as you know, we're always talking about the SubDs want to be as simple as possible, and we do that with giving them quads. However, let's go look at the top of this little ghost here. I'm going to hit the tab, so we're in box mode, and notice, just because the nature of the revolve, we have triangles. Not a big issue. I would just leave this alone. But if you wanted to continue editing and you wanted to use quads, here's how you do it. We're going to pick every other edge, hit delete. Now, check this out. We have a quad here, and we have a quad there. 4 sides everywhere. So remember, when you divide stuff evenly, chances are you can combine 2 triangles into a quad. Same thing would be on the bottom. And then if you wanted to do additional editing, you can pick the 4 faces, move those together, and just lift them up. All right, now I'm really done. So there you go. That is how to make a SubD ghost, or if you pull them out farther, you get an octopus. I was Dave.